Hello, my dear students. Welcome to another exciting lesson where we will talk about something very important: learning English. I'm so glad you've decided to join me today because you've already taken the first step towards improving your English skills. Learning a new language is like opening a door to many new opportunities, and I'm here to guide you through that door. Now, you may ask, why is learning English so important? Well, let me tell you, English is spoken all over the world. It is the language of international communication, business, education, and even entertainment. Whether you want to travel, get a good job, study abroad, or simply understand your favorite movies and songs better, knowing English will help you do all of that and more. English connects people from different cultures and backgrounds, allowing you to communicate with millions of people who don't speak your native language. I know that learning a new language can sometimes feel difficult or even overwhelming. You may have tried before and found it challenging, or maybe you don't know where to start. That's okay. The good news is, there are many different methods to learn English, but today I'm going to share with you an easy and effective way that anyone can follow. This method will help you improve your English step by step, and you don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to be willing to practice a little every day. So, in this lesson, I'm going to show you a simple, clear path to learning English. We'll cover everything from listening and speaking to reading and writing, and I'll break it down into small, easy-to-follow steps. Whether you're just starting or you've been learning for a while, this method will make your English learning journey smoother and more enjoyable. Trust me, with the right approach and a little bit of patience, you'll be speaking English more confidently in no time. Let's get started. Step 1. Listening to English. Every day now, let's talk about the very first and perhaps the most important step in learning English: listening. You might wonder why listening is so crucial, but think about how we all learned our native language. When we were babies, we didn't start by speaking right away. Instead, we spent months, even years, just listening to the people around us. We listened to our parents, our siblings, and everyone else, slowly absorbing the sounds, words, and sentences. Only after listening for a long time did we start to speak. The same goes for learning English. Listening is the foundation of language learning, because it helps you get used to the sounds and rhythm of the language. It trains your brain to recognize words and phrases even before you fully understand their meaning. When you listen to English regularly, your ears become more familiar with the language, and you start to understand more naturally. This is why listening is such a powerful tool for beginners. You don't have to worry about speaking perfectly or knowing every word right away. In fact, when you start listening to English, it's okay if you don't understand everything. That's completely normal. The goal is to expose yourself to the language as much as possible, so your brain can start picking up on common words and phrases over time. The more you listen, the better your understanding will become, even if you're not actively trying to learn. Now, where can you find good material to listen to? There are so many resources available, and you can choose the ones that interest you the most. For example, you can listen to English podcasts. Podcasts are great because you can listen to them anywhere, while you're walking, cooking, or even relaxing. There are podcasts made especially for English learners, which use simple language and talk about everyday topics. Another option is listening to English songs. Music is a fantastic way to immerse yourself in the language. Find songs you like and don't be afraid to sing along, even if you don't know all the words yet. Songs are often repetitive, which makes it easier to remember new words and phrases. And of course, there are videos. You can watch simple videos on YouTube, like the ones I create, or look for English TV shows and movies with subtitles. Watching videos not only helps you hear how words are pronounced, but it also shows you how people use gestures and body language, which is an important part of communication. If the video is too fast or difficult, don't worry, just keep watching, and your understanding will improve with time. The key here is to listen to English as often as possible. You don't need to understand every single word. In fact, it's okay to miss a lot of the words when you start. The important thing is that your ears are getting used to hearing English. Over time, you will start recognizing words and phrases, and things will become clearer. To begin, set aside at least 10 or 15 minutes every day to listen to something in English. It can be a podcast, a song, or a video, whatever you enjoy. The most important thing is to make it a regular habit. Even if you're just listening in the background while doing something else, it helps. And remember, it's not about understanding everything perfectly at first. It's about getting familiar with the sounds of English. So, don't stress about missing words or not understanding a sentence. Learning a language takes time, and listening is one of the easiest and most relaxing ways to improve. The more you listen, the faster you'll start picking up new words and getting comfortable with English. Make listening a part of your daily routine, and soon you'll notice how much better your English becomes. Step 2. Speaking as much as possible. Now that you've started listening to English regularly, it's time to move to the next step, speaking. Speaking is one of the most important parts of learning any language, but I know it can feel scary at first. You might be thinking, what if I make mistakes? What if I don't say something correctly? Let me tell you this. Making mistakes is a natural part of learning. In fact, it's how you learn. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Instead, embrace them, because every mistake you make is an opportunity to improve. When you start speaking English, it's okay if your sentences aren't perfect. The key is to practice speaking as much as possible. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Just like anything else in life, whether it's riding a bike, cooking, or playing an instrument, the more you do it, the better you get. Learning English is no different. Now let's talk about how you can practice speaking. If you have friends or family members who know English, start by practicing with them. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. You can start small. Try greeting them in English, asking them simple questions, or talking about what you did during the day. The more you speak, the easier it will become. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes when speaking with them. They're there to help you improve, not to judge you. But what if you don't have anyone around to practice English with? Don't worry, you can still practice speaking on your own. One great way to do this is by talking to yourself in English. Yes, you heard that right. Talk to yourself. It might feel strange at first, but it's a fantastic way to get comfortable with speaking. You can describe what you're doing as you go about your day. For example, when you wake up in the morning, say, "I'm getting out of bed," or when you're cooking, say, I'm making breakfast. You can even have imaginary conversations with yourself, pretending you're talking to a friend or asking questions and answering them. Another excellent method for practicing speaking is using language exchange apps. There are many apps where you can connect with people from all over the world who want to practice English, just like you. The best part is, they may also want to learn your native language, so you can help each other. This is a fun and effective way to practice speaking with real people, even if you don't have anyone nearby. These apps often have voice or video chat features, so you can practice your speaking skills with others in real time. If you feel too nervous to speak with someone right away, you can also record yourself speaking in English. This is a great way to hear how you sound and see where you might need to improve. Start by choosing a simple topic, like what you did today, your favorite hobby, or even your goals for learning English, and record yourself talking about it. Listen to the recording and see if there are any words or phrases you could improve. Don't be too hard on yourself. Remember, the goal is to improve with practice, not to be perfect from the start. One thing I want to emphasize is that speaking English every day, even for a few minutes, makes a huge difference. The more you speak, the more natural it will feel. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start. You don't need to know all the grammar rules or have a huge vocabulary. Even if you can only say a few words or short sentences, that's okay. Speak as much as you can with the knowledge you have right now, and you'll keep getting better. Another helpful tip is to practice speaking in front of a mirror. This may sound funny, but it actually works. When you speak in front of a mirror, you can see how your mouth moves, and it helps build your confidence. Imagine you're talking to someone else and practice simple conversations or introducing yourself. It's a great way to get comfortable with speaking, especially if you're shy or nervous about speaking to others. The truth is, the more you practice speaking, the more comfortable you will become with making mistakes, and the faster you will learn from them. Speaking is not just about getting every word right. It's about communicating your ideas, and the more you do it, the more fluent you will become. So, here's my challenge to you. Try to speak English every day, even if it's only for a few minutes. Practice with your friends, family, or by yourself. Use language exchange apps, record yourself, or speak in front of the mirror. The important thing is to practice, practice, and practice some more. Remember, every word you speak is a step closer to fluency, and soon you'll find yourself speaking English with more ease and confidence than you ever thought possible. Step 3. Reading simple. English texts. Now that you've started practicing your listening and speaking, let's move on to another essential part of learning English, reading. Reading is a powerful tool for improving your language skills. Not only does it help you learn new words, but it also shows you how sentences are structured, how grammar works, and how ideas flow in English. When you read regularly, you start to understand the language better, and it becomes easier to form your own sentences when you speak and write. One of the best things about reading is that it allows you to see words in context. This means you don't just learn new vocabulary, but you also see how those words are used in real-life situations. For example, you might come across a word you don't know, but by reading the sentence or paragraph around it, You can often guess what it means. This is much more effective than trying to memorize long lists of words without any context. But where do you start? I know reading can feel challenging at first, especially if you're just beginning your English journey. That's why it's important to start with simple texts that are easy to understand. You don't need to jump into reading complicated novels or textbooks right away. Start with something small and manageable, like simple English books, short stories, or even children's books. These are written with simple language and are perfect for beginners because they focus on everyday vocabulary and common sentence structures. For example, you can start with short stories or graded readers. Graded readers are books specifically designed for English learners. They come in different levels, from beginner to advanced, so you can choose the level that suits you best. These books often use easy vocabulary and shorter sentences, which makes them easier to follow. You'll also find that they focus on common topics that are familiar to you, making it easier to understand the overall meaning of the story. If you enjoy reading online, there are plenty of websites where you can find simple English stories. Some websites even have audio versions of the stories, so you can listen while you read. This can be a great way to improve both your listening and reading skills at the same time. You can also find blogs or articles on topics that interest you, whether it's sports, technology, fashion, or travel. The key is to choose something you enjoy reading so that it doesn't feel like hard work. As you continue to read, you'll notice that your vocabulary grows, and you'll start recognizing the same words in different contexts. This repetition is one of the best ways to learn new words, because it helps those words stick in your memory. You'll also start to see how sentences are put together, and this will make it easier for you to form your own sentences when you speak or write. The more you read, the more natural English will begin to feel to you. One thing I recommend is keeping a dictionary with you when you read. If you come across a word you don't know, try to guess its meaning from the context first. But if you're still unsure, look it up in the dictionary. Don't be afraid to take your time and check the meaning of new words. This will help you build your vocabulary little by little. You can even write down new words in a notebook and review them later. The more you see a word, the more likely you are to remember it. Another great tip is to read the same text more than once. On your first read, focus on understanding the general meaning of the text. Don't worry too much about every single word. Then, on your second or third read, you can pay more attention to the details, like new vocabulary, grammar structures, and sentence patterns. By reading the same text multiple times, you'll start to feel more confident in your understanding of the language. As you become more comfortable with reading, you can gradually move on to more challenging texts. For example, once you feel confident reading short stories or children's books, you might try reading articles from newspapers or magazines. These will introduce you to a wider range of vocabulary and more complex sentence structures. Over time, you can work your way up to reading novels, blogs, and even academic texts, depending on your interests and goals. Remember, the goal isn't to read as fast as possible or to understand everything perfectly right away. It's about enjoying the process of learning. Reading is one of the most enjoyable ways to improve your English because it allows you to explore new ideas, stories, and perspectives while improving your language skills. The more you read, the more natural the language will feel to you, and soon you'll find yourself recognizing words and phrases that you've heard or seen before. To make reading a regular part of your learning routine, try setting aside a little time each day to read in English. Even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes, this daily practice will make a big difference. Choose something that interests you, whether it's a short story, a blog post, or even an article from an English learning website. Over time, you'll see how much progress you've made, and you'll find reading in English becomes easier and more enjoyable. So grab a simple book, find a story online, or pick up that English magazine you've been meaning to read. Start small, be patient with yourself, and enjoy the journey. Every word you read brings you closer to mastering English. Step 4. Writing in English every day now. Let's move on to the next important step in your English learning journey. Writing in English every day. Writing is a fantastic way to practice all the things you've been learning so far. It helps you use new vocabulary, try out different grammar structures, and organize your thoughts in English. While listening and speaking help you get comfortable with the sounds of English, writing helps you take those words and ideas and put them down on paper or on a screen, which solidifies everything you've learned. Many students hesitate to write because they worry about making mistakes, but let me tell you something very important. It's okay to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes are a crucial part of the learning process. Every time you write something in English, whether it's a sentence or a paragraph, you're getting valuable practice. Over time, those small mistakes will turn into learning moments, and you'll start to see improvement in both your writing and your overall understanding of the language. Writing in English every day is one of the best ways to make steady progress. The more you write, the better you'll get at forming sentences, using grammar, and expressing your ideas clearly. You don't have to write long essays or complicated paragraphs at first. Start simple and build from there. The key is to make writing a regular part of your day, just like listening and speaking. So, how can you start writing in English? The easiest way is to write about things you already know. For example, you can write about your day. This is a great exercise because you don't need to look for special topics or ideas. You just write about what happened to you today. Did you go to work or school? Did you eat something delicious? Did you learn something new? Writing about your daily activities helps you practice common words and phrases, and it's a natural way to use the language you're learning. Another option is to write about your hobbies. Do you like sports, cooking, or reading? Write a few sentences about what you enjoy doing in your free time. You can describe how you play your favorite sport, the steps to cook a simple meal, or your thoughts on a book you recently read. Writing about something you're passionate about makes the process more enjoyable and helps you stay motivated. Plus, when you write about something familiar, it's easier to find the right words and expressions. At first, it's important to focus on writing simple sentences. Don't worry about trying to write long or complicated paragraphs. Start with short, clear sentences that you can handle easily. For example, instead of trying to write an entire story, start by writing a few sentences about your morning. I woke up at 7 a.m. I had breakfast with my family, then I went to work. These simple sentences are the foundation of your writing practice. Once you feel comfortable with shorter sentences, you can gradually start making them longer by adding more details. For example, instead of saying, "I went to work," you can write, "I went to work by bus," And on the way, I listen to my favorite English podcast. This way, you're expanding your sentences bit by bit, adding more information, and using new vocabulary and grammar structures. Over time, you'll notice that your sentences are getting longer and more complex without even trying too hard. If you're unsure about how to begin, one great idea is to keep a journal. A journal is a personal space where you can write freely without worrying about mistakes. In your journal, you can write about your thoughts, experiences, and goals, anything that comes to mind. You don't need to write a lot every day. Even a few sentences can make a big difference. The important thing is that you're practicing your writing skills regularly. And remember, this is your journal, so there's no need to show it to anyone. It's just for you to track your progress and practice writing in a relaxed way. Another helpful tip is to use a dictionary or online translator when you come across a word you don't know. If you're writing about your day and there's a word you can't remember, take a moment to look it up. This way, you're actively expanding your vocabulary while practicing writing at the same time. The more you look up new words and use them in your writing, the more they will become a part of your active vocabulary. This is how you turn passive knowledge, things you understand but don't use, into active skills. In addition to writing about your day or hobbies, you can also try other fun writing exercises. For example, you could write a short letter to a friend or family member even if you don't plan to send it. Or you could describe your favorite place, write a short story, or explain how to do something step by step, like making tea or fixing something around the house. These types of writing exercises help you practice different kinds of language, from descriptions to instructions, and make the process more engaging. As with the other steps, consistency is key. Try to write something in English every day, even if it's just a few sentences. The more you write, the more confident you'll become. Over time, you'll start to notice that writing in English feels more natural, and you'll make fewer mistakes. You might even surprise yourself by how much you've improved. So, grab a notebook, open a document on your computer, or even use your phone to write something today. Start small, keep it simple, and enjoy the process. Every sentence you write brings you one step closer to fluency, and with each day of practice, your English writing skills will grow stronger. Keep going. You're doing great. Now, we've come to the final and most important step in learning English: consistency and patience. You see, learning a language isn't something that happens overnight. It takes time, dedication, and lots of practice. But here's the secret. If you're consistent and patient with your learning, you will improve. No matter how difficult it feels at times, the progress will come step by step. Let's start by talking about consistency. Imagine you want to get better at something, whether it's playing a musical instrument, cooking, or even exercising. If you only practice once in a while, your progress will be very slow. But if you practice a little bit every day, you'll start to notice improvement much faster. Learning English works the same way. The more time you spend practicing, whether it's listening, speaking, reading, or writing, the more natural it will become for you. The key is to make English a part of your daily routine. Even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes a day, those minutes add up over time and can make a huge difference. You don't need to study for hours and hours each day. In fact, shorter, more frequent study sessions are often more effective than long, intense ones. The important thing is that you're interacting with the language regularly. Think of it like watering a plant. If you give it a little water every day, the plant will grow strong and healthy. But if you forget to water it for a long time, and then suddenly give it a lot of water all at once, the plant won't thrive as well. Your English learning is the same. Small, consistent practice will help you grow your skills over time. There are many ways to include English in your daily life. You don't always have to sit down and do formal study. You can listen to an English podcast while you cook or clean, read a short article during your break, or write a few sentences about your day before you go to bed. These small actions may seem simple, but they are incredibly powerful because they keep your brain engaged with the language. Even on days when you're busy, finding just a few minutes to practice English can make a big difference in the long run. Now, let's talk about patience. Learning English, like any skill, requires time. Sometimes it might feel like you're not making progress, or maybe you're stuck on a difficult part of the language, like tricky grammar rules or unfamiliar vocabulary. This is completely normal, and every learner goes through this at some point. What's important is that you don't give up. Patience is your best friend when it comes to language learning. You might not see improvement right away, but trust me, if you keep going, you are improving, even if you don't notice it. It's like climbing a mountain. When you're close to the ground, it's easy to feel like you're making progress because you can see how far you've come. But as you get higher, the climb gets steeper, and it feels harder to see how much you've accomplished. But here's the thing. Even if the climb feels tough, every step is bringing you closer to the top. You're still making progress, even when it feels slow. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is thinking that they need to be perfect right away. Remember, making mistakes is a natural part of learning, and it's how we grow. When you come across something difficult, like understanding fast conversations or writing longer sentences, don't get discouraged. Instead, remind yourself that every challenge is an opportunity to improve. Be patient with yourself and trust that the more you practice, the easier it will become. There will be days when learning English feels hard. Maybe you'll have trouble remembering a word, or you'll feel nervous about speaking. On those days, it's easy to think, I'm never going to get better, or I'm just not good at this. But here's what I want you to remember. Everyone feels like this sometimes, even people who are fluent in English now. The key is to keep going, even when it feels difficult. The more patient you are with yourself, the more you will enjoy the learning process, and the more progress you will make over time. I understand that learning a new language can sometimes feel overwhelming. There's so much to learn, and it can seem like a long journey. But remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Break it down into small, manageable steps. Focus on one thing at a time, whether it's listening, speaking, reading, or writing. Celebrate your small victories, like learning a new word, understanding a sentence, or speaking a little more confidently. Each of these small wins adds up over time, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Another important thing to keep in mind is that everyone's learning journey is different. Some people might learn faster, while others take a little more time, and that's okay. The only person you should compare yourself to is yourself. Focus on your own progress, and don't worry about how quickly others are learning. Everyone moves at their own pace, and what matters most is that you're moving forward, no matter how slow or fast that progress may be. Here's one last piece of advice. Enjoy the journey. Learning English doesn't have to be a stressful or frustrating experience. It's an opportunity to explore new ideas, connect with people from around the world, and open up new possibilities for yourself. Yes, there will be challenges, but there will also be moments of excitement and accomplishment. Celebrate those moments and remember that every little bit of practice is getting you closer to your goal. So, stay consistent. Practice a little every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Be patient with yourself, and don't give up when things feel hard. Progress takes time, but if you keep going, you will improve. You've already come this far, and you have everything it takes to keep going. Trust yourself, stay committed, and enjoy the process. With consistency and patience, you'll reach your English learning goals before you know it. As we come to the end of this lesson, I want to remind you of one important thing. Learning English is a journey. Like any journey, it has its ups and downs, its moments of excitement, and its challenges. Some days will feel easy, and on other days, it may feel like you're not making progress at all. But here's the truth. Every single step you take, no matter how small, is a step forward. Whether you're learning new words, improving your listening, practicing speaking, or simply understanding a sentence better than you did yesterday, it all counts. You are moving forward, and that's what matters most. Think of learning English like climbing a mountain. At the beginning, when you look up, the top seems far away, and you might wonder if you'll ever get there. But with every step you take, with every new word you learn, you're climbing higher. Eventually, when you stop and look back, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. The top might still be ahead, but you'll realize that you've already climbed so much and that you're closer to your goal than you ever were before. Throughout this journey, the steps we've talked about today will guide you. Step 1 is listening. Immerse yourself in the sounds of English, and don't worry about understanding everything right away. Just let the language fill your ears, and slowly, things will start to click. Step 2 is speaking. Don't be afraid to speak, even if you make mistakes. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become. Step 3 is reading. Start with simple texts and gradually work your way up. Reading helps you understand how sentences are made and expands your vocabulary. Step 4 is writing. Write every day, even if it's just a few sentences. Writing helps you put your thoughts into words and practice what you've learned. And finally, step 5 is consistency and patience. Practice a little every day, be patient with yourself, and don't give up. I encourage you to follow these steps, but most importantly, I want you to have fun while learning. Yes, English can be challenging, but it can also be exciting and enjoyable. It's a way to explore new ideas, connect with new people, and open up new opportunities. Learning a language doesn't have to be a boring or stressful process. In fact, the more you enjoy it, the easier it becomes. So, find ways to make it fun, whether it's watching your favorite shows, listening to music, reading stories you love, or talking to friends. When you enjoy what you're doing, the learning will come naturally. And remember, There's no perfect way to learn English. Everyone's path is different, and everyone learns at their own pace. Some days you might feel like you're making great progress, and other days it might feel like you're stuck. But that's okay. Progress isn't always a straight line, and that's part of the journey. What matters is that you keep going, one step at a time. Lastly, I want to leave you with a motivational message. You can do it. Yes, you can. I believe in you, and you should believe in yourself too. Every learner has moments of doubt, but those moments don't define you. What defines you is your determination, your effort, and your persistence. You've already taken the first step by deciding to learn English, and that's the most important step of all. So, when you face challenges, remember how far you've come and remind yourself that you are capable of achieving your goals. Whether it's understanding a conversation, reading a book, or writing a message, you have everything it takes to succeed. Stay motivated, keep practicing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. They're a part of the learning process. And always remember, you're not alone on this journey. Many people around the world are learning English too, and just like you, they are taking it step by step. The journey might be long, but it's worth it. The more you practice, the more you'll improve, and soon enough, you'll reach a level of confidence where you can use English comfortably in your daily life. Whether it's for work, travel, studies, or personal growth, your hard work will pay off. Every bit of effort you put into learning today will bring you closer to your goals tomorrow. So, as you continue on this journey, stay positive, stay consistent, and most importantly, enjoy the process. You have the ability, the tools, and the mindset to succeed. Just remember, you can do it. Keep going, keep learning, and I promise you, the results will come. You're already on the path to success, and I can't wait to see how far you'll go. Good luck, and don't forget, learning English is not just about reaching a destination, it's about enjoying the journey along the way.